The bank was busy, the hum of chatter and the clicking of keyboards filling the air. Tanya Williams, a determined black mother, walked up to the teller, check in hand, her posture straight, her mind focused. She had worked tirelessly on her freelance project, and this check represented months of effort, late nights, and sacrifice. The teller glanced at the check, his smirk immediately forming. "Ma'am, are you sure this is real?" he asked, his laughter echoing just a little too loudly for anyone's comfort. He held the check up as if it were a joke meant to entertain himself, drawing the eyes of a few curious onlookers. Tanya felt the sting of humiliation wash over her for a brief moment, but she held her composure. She looked down at her son, Jaden, standing beside her, eyes wide, embarrassed, but silently watching. She tightened her grip on the check, breathing slowly, refusing to let his ignorance shake her confidence. Fast forward 2 months. The same. Teller Mark, casually strolling downtown with a coffee in hand, glanced up. His steps faltered. His eyes widened. There it was, a massive billboard, brilliantly lit against the night sky. And staring back at him was Jaden, smiling confidently, the tagline beneath his face bold and proud. Future CEO, breaking barriers. The smirk that had been so permanent on Mark's face months ago had vanished. His laughter, once sharp and cruel, was gone, replaced by disbelief, a pang of shame, and an overwhelming realization of just how wrong he had been. Every viewer is left wondering, how did this mom and her son rise from a moment of public humiliation to achieving such remarkable recognition? What lesson did this moment teach the man who once thought it was funny to laugh at someone else's hard work? Tanya Williams woke up before sunrise, the soft hum of the city outside her window barely registering as she prepared for another long day. She poured herself a cup of coffee, careful not to spill, while Jaden sat at the kitchen table, homework spread in front of him. The smell of warm toast filled the air, a small comfort in their otherwise busy mornings. Every day was a balancing act. Tanya worked 2 jobs, by day as a freelance marketing consultant, by night as a part-time retail assistant. Each paycheck was stretched carefully, every dollar accounted for, with Jaden's future always at the forefront of her mind. She wanted him to dream bigger, to believe he could achieve more than the limitations society tried to place on them. Despite her calm exterior, Tanya had faced countless subtle injustices. She remembered neighbors giving her sideways glances, casual comments from strangers that made her feel out of place, and even the way bank staff often assumed she didn't belong in professional spaces. Each instance was a quiet reminder that the world wasn't always ready to acknowledge her worth, but she refused to let it define her. Jaden, perceptive beyond his years, noticed these moments. "Mom, why did he laugh at you?" he asked one evening after a particularly frustrating bank visit. Tanya knelt beside him, taking his hand in hers. "Some people judge what they don't understand, Jaden," she said gently. "They try to make others feel small because they feel small themselves. But we won't let that stop us. You have to work hard, believe in yourself, and let your actions speak louder than your doubts." Their weekends were filled with tutoring sessions, community events, and planning for the future. Tanya often shared stories of her own childhood, times when she had been underestimated, and how she overcame those challenges. Jaden listened intently, absorbing lessons of resilience and self-worth. Even at school, subtle racism followed. Teachers sometimes doubted his abilities, peers questioned his confidence, and occasionally he was overlooked for opportunities others received automatically. But Tanya encouraged him, reminding him that recognition would come, not because the world owed him, but because he was prepared to earn it. The bank incident remained a silent motivator. Mark, the teller who laughed at her check, unknowingly fueled Tanya's determination. Each time she thought of that moment, she felt a mix of anger and resolve. It wasn't just about proving him wrong. It was about proving to herself and Jaden that excellence could not be denied, no matter the assumptions people made. By the end of each day, Tanya and Jaden would sit together, reviewing plans, celebrating small victories, and dreaming of larger ones. The seeds of ambition were planted in quiet moments, nurtured by discipline, perseverance, and the unspoken promise that one day their story would speak louder than any laugh or doubt that had ever come their way. The weeks turned into months, and Tanya's determination only grew stronger. She quietly expanded her freelance marketing work into a small consulting agency, carefully picking clients who valued professionalism over appearances. Every meeting, every email, every late night spent strategizing was another step toward proving her worth. Not just to the world, but to herself and Jaden. Jaden, inspired by his mother's resilience, threw himself into school projects and community initiatives with a focus that amazed even his teachers. He joined a young entrepreneur program at his school, pitching ideas, learning business strategies, and practicing leadership skills. Each time he succeeded, Tanya's pride swelled, but so did the weight of the journey they had endured together. The bank incident, the teller's laughter, it became more than just a memory. It became fuel. Tanya and Jaden often discussed it, quietly at night, not in anger, but as a reminder of the unfair assumptions that existed in the world. They spoke about the importance of being prepared, of excelling even when the world expected less from them, of turning humiliation into motivation. Meanwhile, Mark, the teller, continued his daily routine, oblivious to the quiet revolution happening in the lives of the mother and son he had once dismissed. He laughed at another client's awkwardness, rang up transactions without a second thought, completely unaware that the family he'd underestimated was preparing for a moment that would make him stop in his tracks. Jaden's dedication led him to a citywide competition for young entrepreneurs. He presented a small but innovative project that combined technology and community service, impressing the judges with his confidence, knowledge, and clarity. The prize wasn't just money. It was a feature in a local campaign highlighting young achievers in the city. A billboard downtown would showcase Jaden's face and accomplishments for everyone to see. Tanya and Jaden celebrated quietly that evening, knowing the significance of what they had achieved. It wasn't about showing off. It was about recognition earned through perseverance, intelligence, and integrity. Their small victories compounded, creating momentum that neither injustice nor ignorance could stop. The day the billboard went up, Jaden's classmates and neighbors began to notice. Conversations sparked. People in the community admired the young boy who had worked so hard, unaware of the story behind the smile. Tanya watched from a distance, a sense of quiet triumph filling her chest. She knew that moments like these didn't just change her son. They changed the way the world saw him and, indirectly, them both. And then came the day Mark walked downtown, coffee in hand, casual, unthinking. As he passed the bright lights of the billboard, his steps faltered. His eyes widened, his jaw dropped. There it was, Jaden's face staring confidently back at him, the tagline bold. Future CEO, breaking barriers. For the first time, Mark experienced a moment of humility. The laughter he once thought harmless echoed in his mind, replaced by disbelief and a gnawing awareness that he had misjudged both mother and son. Every assumption, every quiet act of bias, every moment he had looked down on them, it all collided in a single, undeniable moment of reckoning. The community noticed too, slowly grasping the weight of the story. Tanya and Jaden had turned a humiliating experience into a powerful narrative of achievement, resilience, and quiet justice. Every day, every effort, every setback had led to this moment where talent, determination, and integrity demanded acknowledgement. Downtown was buzzing, the evening lights casting a golden glow over the city streets. People walked past, some chatting, others rushing to dinner or appointments, completely unaware of the story unfolding in plain sight. Tanya drove past her, eyes catching the billboard before anyone else could point it out. There he was, Jaden, smiling confidently, his achievements celebrated for all to see. The tagline beneath him was impossible to miss: Future CEO, Breaking Barriers. A surge of pride warmed her chest. All the late nights, all the sacrifices, every dismissive laugh and every subtle jab of prejudice had led to this undeniable moment of triumph. Mark, the teller who had laughed at Tanya's check months ago, walked past, oblivious at first, coffee in hand. He glanced up casually and then froze. His steps faltered, his eyes widened. The smirk that had been permanent on his face for years vanished in an instant. The people around him moved on, unaware of the storm of realization consuming him. Mark's mind replayed that day at the bank, the laughter, the condescension, the assumption that Tanya and her family were less than they were. He had never imagined that the small, quiet family he dismissed would rise to such a moment of public recognition. Tanya watched from her car, a quiet smile playing on her lips. She didn't need to gloat. She knew the power of what had just occurred. Justice, in its most subtle and satisfying form, had been delivered. Her son, her family, had proven that excellence cannot be laughed at, that determination can defy prejudice, and that recognition often comes when it is least expected. Jaden, oblivious to the teller's stunned reaction, turned to Tanya. "Mom, did you see? They put my picture up," he said, eyes shining with pride. Tanya reached over, squeezing his hand. "I see it, baby, and I'm so proud of you," she replied softly. The camera lingers on Mark's face, shock, disbelief, and a flicker of understanding. For the first time, he realized that assumptions based on race, age, or appearance could be not only wrong, but profoundly humbling. The moment crystallized the lesson Tanya and Jaden had been living all along. Resilience, intelligence, and integrity would always shine brighter than ignorance. Every viewer is left with the undeniable truth. No act of prejudice, no laugh meant to belittle could diminish the force of hard work and determination. What was once a moment of humiliation had been transformed into a powerful statement, broadcast for the world to see. The days after the billboard went up were quiet but transformative. Tanya's consulting agency began attracting more clients, who recognized her expertise and professionalism. She was no longer just a hard-working mom balancing multiple jobs. She was a mentor, a respected businesswoman, a role model for young women in her community. Jaden's life changed too. Scholarships, invitations to speak at youth events, and recognition from local leaders became part of his new normal. The boy who once stood beside his mother at the bank, embarrassed by someone else's cruelty, was now celebrated publicly for his intelligence, dedication, and leadership. Neighborhoods buzzed with admiration for the family. Friends, neighbors, and even strangers reached out to congratulate them, inspired by their journey. Tanya and Jaden had turned a moment of humiliation into a story of empowerment, showing the world that perseverance and integrity could triumph over prejudice. Mark, the teller, quietly left the downtown area that evening, shaken by the experience. He never publicly apologized, but the memory of that moment, the instant he realized how wrong he had been, stayed with him. Every time he saw a young person achieving, he remembered the lesson Tanya and Jaden had delivered without a word. Never underestimate someone based on appearances or assumptions. The community began to take notice in other ways as well. Local organizations invited Tanya to speak about mentorship, resilience, and entrepreneurship. Jaden became a source of inspiration for other kids, showing that even in the face of subtle systemic bias, talent and effort could not be denied. Through it all, Tanya and Jaden remained grounded. They celebrated victories quietly, continued to work hard, and supported others facing similar challenges. Their story became a testament to the power of perseverance, the importance of education, and the undeniable truth that achievement is the best form of quiet justice. Every day, Tanya would remind Jaden, people might doubt you, laugh at you, or try to put you down, but nothing can stop what you build with your heart and mind. And in that lesson, they found not just success, but peace. As the lights of the city flickered in the evening, Tanya and Jaden's story stood as a quiet but powerful reminder. Life has a way of revealing truth in the most unexpected moments. The teller's laughter at the bank, meant to belittle, had instead become the catalyst for a journey that showcased determination, resilience, and undeniable talent. Every viewer is asked to pause and consider. How often do we underestimate people based on appearances, skin color, or background? How many moments of quiet injustice go unnoticed, yet shape lives in ways we can't immediately see? Tanya and Jaden remind us that even in a world where prejudice exists, excellence, integrity, and persistence will always shine through. Jaden's billboard was more than recognition. It was a statement, a testament to overcoming systemic bias, and proof that achievement cannot be ignored. For every person watching, the question remains: when faced with doubt or dismissal, how will you respond? Will you let it define you, or will you let it drive you to heights they never imagined? Their story invites us all to reflect, act, and inspire. Have you ever witnessed someone underestimated, only to rise above expectations in a way that stunned everyone? Think of that moment. Share it in the comments below. Tell us how you or someone you know turned judgment into triumph. And if you believe in stories of justice, perseverance, and inspiration, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our community. Don't miss the next story that proves one act of courage or determination can change everything, because stories like Tanya and Jaden's are not just about justice. They are about the potential inside every individual, waiting for the right moment to shine. And sometimes all it takes is one quiet act of perseverance to change the world around you.